Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Bobby Wilson here. Love to you there. Welcome to the Good News Corner. Thank you for joining me. God's Guidelines for Family Life, Part 3, A Nurturing Relationship. Melba, a victim of cancer, lay weak and exhausted in a hospital bed in the family room at home. Each day she grew weaker and death could not be far away. The nurses who helped care for Melba came and went in their regular shifts. Tom worked in his office every morning, but by mid-afternoon he was at her side, comforting, reading, praying, caring for his wife. The children, late teenagers, came in from school and went directly to Melba's bed to tell her of their day and how they loved her. Family life did not stop with the unfolding tragedy, and there was no hysteria or fear. This was a Christian home. Tom and Melba had abiding, strong faith, and they had shared their faith with their children. Finally, the parting day came. I was there as pastor to pray and give to the family the love and concern of the entire congregation. In those last hours, Tom held Melba's now tiny form in his hands and whispered his love to her. His warmth could not stop the chill of death. I thought of Paul's words as Melba, lying in her husband's arms, went home to God. Husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. Ephesians 5:28. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourished and cherished it. Even as the Lord the church, for we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. There are, of course, those mentally ill persons who take pleasure in hurting their own bodies. The clinical name for their disease is masochism. But masochists are not whole persons. Neither are those who take pleasure in hurting their spouses, who are a part of their very selves. Normal people feed and care for their bodies, and wise people pay attention to giving good nourishment and care to their whole selves, including their spouses. Again, our role model is Christ. Again, our role model is Christ, who not only gave himself for the church, his body, but even now continues to give himself for her, making pleas on her behalf with the Father in glory. Romans 8:34-39, Hebrews 7:25, 1 John 2:1-2. We are members of his body and are subject to his care, just as Eve was declared to be of Adam, of his flesh and bones, Genesis 2:18-24, and so the loving husband suffers his wife's illness and aches with her pain. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. Reference to the first couple in Eden is followed naturally by this quotation from Genesis 2:24. Because the wife is to become so genuinely a part of the husband's self, the marriage has to include a cutting loose from all competition or competing relationships. The leaving has to be accomplished before the new identity can be established. The man who is still a mama's boy can never be a satisfactory husband. A wise mother kept this constantly before her children. When you marry, she said, your home will be your partner and not here with us. You and your partner will be equally welcome to visit us, but the old home has to be left behind when the new one is established. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. In this declaration, there is a profound truth, mystery. In the New Testament sense, indicates the revelation of something that could not be known by the unaided human mind. The mystery discussed in verses 25-33 is twofold and intertwined. The relationship of Christ and the church, the relationship of husband and wife. The inspired apostle could not discuss one without the other. For Christians, marriage must be rooted in commitment to Christ. Nevertheless, let every one of you, in particular, so love his wife even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. Here is repetition and wrap up of the exhortation to mutual submissiveness in marriage. The husband is to surrender selfish ambition or indulgence because his wife is an integral part of himself. The wife is to surrender her self-will and self-determination because she respects her husband. The wife's attitude is not to be frightened or fright, dread, or awe, but honor and respect. Submission is either direction without love would be slavish and most difficult to maintain. Thank you for joining me on the Good News Corner. Bobby Wilson here. Love to you there. God's Guidelines for Family Life, Part 3. A Nurturing Relationship. From the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verses 1-4. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.